Welcome to this explainer. Okay, so look around us for a second. We are watching the world of technology soar at this totally unprecedented speed, right? Things like artificial intelligence, quantum computing, biochemical tech, and space exploration, they're reshaping humanity in astonishing ways. But as we ride this incredible wave of innovation, our inner alarms have already started sounding. Because, well, technology is a double-edged sword. It brings this massive abundance of material things, but it also gradually pushes humanity right to the brink of self-destruction. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating source that argues these astonishing modern breakthroughs actually coincide perfectly with doomsday prophecies recorded thousands of years ago in the Bible. Let's dive into how this cutting-edge reality connects to ancient eschatology.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll be looking at 1. The technological apocalypse, 2. AI, chips, and prophecy, 3. Extreme tech and Armageddon, 4. The modern spiritual dilemma, and finally, number 5, awakening and faith preparation.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the technological apocalypse.
To really understand this tech acceleration, the source points us to the absolute core of our modern world, the semiconductor chip. R&D in this space has reached historic highs. We're seeing nanotechnology constantly miniaturizing, breaking physical limits, and chip production capacity is expanding like a spring. And since chips are the brains of basically all high-tech products, this explosion directly drives massive leaps in high-speed computing, automated production, and AI. But here's the terrifying catch. This exact same rapid advancement is pushing weapon development to irreversible levels of destruction. We are accelerating human civilization, for sure, but we might be hastening the swift approach of the apocalypse in the process.
And this brings us to the author's core thesis, which is honestly mind-blowing. This exact explosion of knowledge, it was predicted millennia ago. The source directly links our modern, frantic, light-speed data accumulation to the book of Daniel. The idea here is that people running to and fro and knowledge greatly increasing aren't just generic phrases. They are clear, undeniable markers of the end times playing out right in front of us.
Which leads us seamlessly into Section 2, AI, chips, and prophecy. Supported by all that powerful chip computing power, military technology has rapidly advanced overnight. The text points to battlefield floods of countless drone swarms, unmanned submarines, and automated combat vehicles. The truly chilling part? Humanoid robot warriors are now being mass-produced at a speed comparable to making smartphones. Unmanned factories are pumping out tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions of these highly efficient tools for killing every single year.
The source draws a stunning parallel here, matching these automated drone swarms directly to the apocalyptic locust cavalry described in the book of Joel. Ancient prophets saw a devastating force with fire extinguishing from the front and flames trailing behind. The author interprets this as an incredibly accurate ancient vision of AI precision missiles and jet launchers. Before they arrive, the land looks like Eden. After they pass, it's just a desolate wilderness where humans are completely wiped out. But, this tech frenzy isn't just about warfare. Think about our ultimate technological pride. Humanity actively advancing migration plans to the Moon and Mars, attempting to build permanent bases and conquer space. And back here on Earth, AI precisely manages agriculture and livestock to create high-yield products. The text argues that this extreme commercial prosperity and space ambition creates an illusion of a mimicry Eden, a false, post-apocalyptic business frenzy that masks a very fragile reality.
And the prophets apparently pointed out this exact arrogance thousands of years ago. The book of Obadiah warns that even if humans literally extend their dwellings into outer space, if we nest among the stars, we still cannot escape ultimate judgment and divine authority. It's a pretty stark reminder from the source that our scientific conquests don't outrank spiritual realities.
Let's move on to Section 3, Extreme Tech and Armageddon.
The author draws a really fascinating parallel here between today's fragmented global supply chains and the book of Daniel's vision of a golden statue. Remember the statue with feet made of iron mixed with clay? Today, the fierce race for high-end chips and AI data sovereignty has created massive technological walls. The source compares the severe confrontation between the world's democratic and authoritarian blocs to that iron and clay, two powers forced to coexist, but fundamentally completely unable to unite.
The text then outlines this terrifying three-step escalation. First, we see the bright side, right? AI rapidly accelerating the development of beneficial new drugs. But then comes step 2. That exact same technology is inevitably abused to engineer novel gene viruses, opening the door to devastating biochemical warfare.
Finally, in Step 3, AI is integrated with orbital space weapons, basically turning the tools of civilian progress into mechanisms for universal slaughter.
Adding to this already volatile mix is the ever-present nuclear threat. The text warns of a highly plausible scenario where miniaturized nuclear weapons fall into extremist hands. Beyond just the immediate blast, the source describes how radioactive dust could poison global water sources, trigger massive climate shifts, and even cause tectonic disasters like tsunamis, leading to widespread death. And this creates such an eerie historical echo. The Book of Revelation speaks of a burning star named Wormwood, which means bitter gall, that falls from the sky and poisons a third of the world's rivers. The author interprets this scripture not as some literal meteor, but as a shockingly accurate ancient description of modern nuclear fallout and massive water contamination.
So, this is our pivot point. We've looked at all the apocalyptic geopolitical stakes and these huge external threats. But what about us? With all these physical and technological warnings flashing red in the real world, how should we, internally and spiritually, actually respond?
That brings us to Section 4, the modern spiritual dilemma.
The text offers a really profound critique of our modern society, contrasting our deep comfort culture with a dangerous, secularized spiritual numbness. I mean, we live in an era obsessively pursuing luxury, worldly success, and exquisite audiovisual escapes. Think about us literally strapping VR headsets to our faces. The source argues that by totally trapping ourselves in this material comfort zone, we have completely lost our sensitivity to the urgent end times warning signs right in front of us.
According to the author, this extreme material wealth has paradoxically created extreme spiritual poverty. By being lukewarm, neither cold nor hot, modern society boasts that it has everything it could ever physically need. Yet, the source warns that this complacency leaves us completely blind, stripping away our spiritual insight exactly when we need it the absolute most.
Furthermore, our daily tech habits are actively working against us. Our excessive reliance on smart devices and endless doom scrolling literally shatters our attention spans. The text points out that this constant digital distraction prevents deep study and spiritual connection. Basically, as the world rushes toward destruction at the speed of light, humanity is just too busy looking at screens to notice that our spiritual lives have become sluggish and totally superficial.
And finally, Section 5, Awakening and Faith Preparation.
Look, this isn't just a message of doom and gloom. The text provides a really urgent, actionable toolkit for spiritual readiness. It calls for individuals to shed their worldly desires and fundamentally shift their mindsets. It also heavily advises building resilient communities, implementing solid religious education across all age groups, and actively cultivating faith through small group fellowship so we can weather the coming trials together.
This represents the ultimate hope presented in the text, that pursuing spiritual purity is the true protection against end-days disasters. Explaining the theology here, the pure linen garment mentioned in Revelation is interpreted as a metaphor for believers who align their actions with the divine. According to the source, surviving the Great Tribulation isn't about building physical, concrete doomsday bunkers. It's entirely about achieving perfect spiritual readiness.
The overarching narrative concludes by framing technology not as the ultimate authority, but merely as a signpost. Despite mankind's technological arrogance and this terrifying surge of AI and weaponry we've talked about, the source insists that the divine controls the end of history. The call to action isn't to cower in fear of this tech frenzy, but to stand firm, foster unity, and reveal the light of truth in the darkness.
Based on the absolutely striking, undeniable parallels the source draws between today's cutting-edge tech headlines and ancient prophecies, we have to ask a hard question. As the alarms of the apocalypse ring, are you spiritually prepared to awaken? It's a massive, urgent question that really demands some self-reflection. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep exploring these big ideas.